Hello, my name is Brittany Deigh. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential.
Oh man, denial. Let's drop in here, guys, because denial is a beast. Man almighty. It goes so many different ways too. I remember, I'm really dealing with it right now in my present reality big time. That's why I knew it was a great time to record this episode. And I was in my own denial and in my own delusions for a long time. And now I'm moving through my healing process and really speaking my truth and really claiming how I really felt and what this experience was really like for me. And in many ways, in many regards, not just with my addiction, but in all of the ways that codependency has leaked into my life. And, being met with denial and dismissiveness and people being like, well, that, basically that you created this and that, that somehow this has, a connection to something higher. There's a higher divine plan that we can see. It's like, yeah, that's all true. And so is it true that I was literally abused, neglected, or abandoned and betrayed, or unseen and unheard and dismissed. Like, my experience is still very valid. And I need to share this because your experience is still your feelings are very valid. Just because you can see this is part of a bigger divine plan, like what a spiritual bypass, what a cop-out that it's like, oh, well, let's just brush that under the rug. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that detrimental because we can see how this is part of something bigger. Or, because I too felt those same ways at times or whatever it may be. That does not change that your feelings deserve to be honored and that your feelings, your truth, your story can take up space. And those that truly love you and want to connect with you will reach deep within themselves to find the empathy and compassion to really see where they or their actions affected your experience and affected your emotions and affected your story. And I want to give an example of my own denial because I remember this happening and it's like, denial is a beast. It's so unconscious. And so I worked at this pizza place, Fat Jimmy's Pizza, whenever I was in high school. And I really loved that job. It was right around the corner from my house. It was right next to the high school. I had some really homies that we all collaborated. It was a really enjoyable experience, honestly. Fat Jimmy, that's, Jimmy is the guy who owns the place. And he really was able to create a homey type of an environment for his employees. And you really felt loved and appreciated in his space. And I remember I was really a great employee for quite a while. And then, I think here and there I started tethering off in my different ways. My addiction with my Adderall came up and smoking weed. And then I remember one specific time whenever, listen to how talk about denial, how idiotic this is of me to do. Okay. Loving and having compassion for that part of myself right now. You're not an idiot, previous Brittany. You are learning and growing. Okay. This senior year, Brittany, she my brother came and he said that, you know, he was always wheeling and dealing. There was always some wheel and deal and something. And he said that if we bought 2 ounces or something like that, he could flip it and turn it into double overnight. He had this connect. They're looking for a QP. All we had to do was get enough money for 2 ounces, and then he can flip it. Or there was some wheel and deal. I don't know. Some wheeling and dealing. And we were in my vehicle, and I went around. I had 2 different bank accounts at the time, and I went around to every bank account that I had, my checking and my savings in both banks, and emptied every single dollar that I had other than $20 for gas to get to work the next week. And I shouldn't have just laughed at her. I'm sorry. I'm working through it. We're working through it as we go. And I emptied every dollar of my bank account in order to buy these ounces. And while this was all happening, you know, of course, it was like, oh, we just got to go this one place to pick this up and make it happen, right? While this is all happening, my shift for work is coming up. I'm like, I got to go in to work at 5, you know? And it's like creeping up and it's creeping up. And then I'm like, dude, I can't, I don't know, this dude's not meeting us or whatever the deal is. Like, I got to go. Like, I got to go to work. And he says to me in the car, we were driving, and he was like, just tell him that you're sick, that you're not feeling well. And I'm, you know, naive and in high school. And I'm like, really? You can do that? And he's like, yeah, like, he can't say anything if you're sick. Like, you're sick. There's nothing you can do about that. And I'm like, wow, I never thought about that. I guess you can't say anything if you're sick. Like, okay. And I text my boss and I say that I'm not able to come in because I'm sick. And I genuinely, guys, I know that might sound like, really, Brittany, my mom, you got to understand, I was raised in a household where my mom was like, work is no joke. Like, work is black and white, and there's strict boundaries around that. And I mean, she was a woman entrepreneur at a time where women were not entrepreneurs. This woman is a powerhouse when it comes to business. And that's what I was raised in. So to me, the boundary of not showing up for work was like not even an option. That was not on the table. That was just what I was taught. And so I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Like, I can just call in. Like, I can just say I'm sick or whatever, make some excuse and not go in. And so I did that. And, you know, this is a side note. You know, this is my own denial with my brother, right? And you'll just see the denial leaking everywhere in this story. But the next day, you know, I'm asking my brother, I'm like, yo, what's up? Come on. Like, we got this co-op. What's going on with the money? You know, da-da-da-da. He doesn't answer. And I'm anxious at this point, right? This is every dollar that I have other than my gas money for the week. So finally, around 7 or 8 p.m. the next day, he calls me and I'm like, yo, dude, what's going on? And I'm like, where's the weed? Where's the money? Did you sell it all? Oh, dude, my bad. Like, me and my homies like literally blew down that entire ounce last night. Like, we just got so fucked up. And so like we were just smoking. I didn't even realize, like, I sold one of the ounces, but the other one we just blew down. And I'm just like, and this is at the time where ounces are like $300, $350. And I'm just sitting on the phone and I'm like, you just smoked away $350 of my savings. I had no words, right? And so that sent me into a spiral. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is happening in my life right now? I have no money. He has nothing to show for it. And so I really showed up to work, once I did go back to work, because I worked in the evenings after school, of course, Jimmy's like reprimanding me and he's like, you can't do that. Like that was a weekend shift. Like I needed my register running. Like I cannot have this. And I'm like in this depressed spiral, right? And things kept happening like that after that point. And eventually he was very patient with me. And eventually I just left. I left the job. I started working at Joe's OK Bayou. And that was because I was supposed to be making more money there, tips and blah, blah, blah. And I did, but there was something bigger going on and I was pulled in a different direction. So then my brother's friend in New Jersey, he's getting sober, he's getting his stuff together, right? He comes out to Kentucky to live with my brother. He needed a restart. He needed to get away from his life in New Jersey. And so he comes out to Kentucky and he's sober and he's got his, stuff together and he's really looking good. And so he's like saying, I'm looking for a job. And I'm like, yo, you ever worked at a pizza place? He's saying stuff about he's worked at restaurants. I'm like, yo, Fat Jimmy's is like always hiring. Like I'm sure that you can hit up Jimmy. And Jimmy's like, yep, absolutely. He gives him the job, right? And he's working at a different location. There's multiple locations. Give him the job at the Barstown Road location. And I think it took probably about 3 months before he started using again. And I don't know what happened because I started stepping back, but there's no doubt, right, that affected Jimmy and his business. And like that referral became a really toxic situation for Jimmy. And so here I am, my second year of college. This was my senior year, right? So we're about 2 or 3 years later. And I'm needing referrals for this job. I wanted to work at this summer camp, the summer camp that I went to growing up. And I send an email to Jimmy and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for, I need referrals from previous jobs. Can you write a little referral for me so I can submit it with this application? And he emails me back and he says, I am absolutely not comfortable referring you to work at a children's summer camp. And I'm sorry, but I will not give you this referral. And I remember looking at the screen on my computer thinking, what the fuck is his problem? Like, I was such a good employee to you because like I said, my mom, you don't miss a day of school, you don't miss anything, like da-da-da-da-da. So what I remembered, right, was like, dude, I showed up to work, I worked hard, I busted my ass, and I'm just like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, really? You won't give me a referral? And it sat with me. I was like I just kept remember thinking like the audacity, like, really? Like, what is your problem? And then as I'm unraveling this addiction and this addiction story, right? I'm like, the lack of my ability to see myself, the lack of compassion and empathy for what I did to Jimmy and for what my referral did to Jimmy, my family, my brother's home is basically like my family. He's like another brother of mine. What my family, the poison that my family held, poured over into Jimmy's life and Jimmy's business, I could not see it literally until now, until I'm finally getting sober. And like, I'm so grateful that he held that boundary and said, no, I'm not comfortable referring you to work at a children's summer camp. And you know what's funny, guys? That children's summer camp, I got caught drinking on the campgrounds. And I was asked to leave at 6 weeks and I was supposed to stay there for the entire summer. That's how much your addiction will have you blinded, unconscious, or your codependency, whatever it is, your denial. It's a beast, yo. And I'm so great. I'm like, literally, I might even send him this episode and be like, dude, thank you. Thank you for holding your boundary with me, because it stuck with me. It hurt me, but it stuck with me. And now that I'm on the other side of the coin and I'm holding my boundaries and being like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. No, I'm not going to feed your denial. No, I'm not going to be okay with you mistreating me and pretending like it's all right, sweeping it under the rug. And like, I was just asked, this is just yesterday, about a relationship that I'm breaking away from, and it was a referral. That's why, right? It's a full circle. She asked for a referral and said that we had so many great qualities and great times, and there were so many great things that she did for my business. Maybe if you could just give me a referral, and not really mention much about, what's been happening these last few months and, you firing me. And I'm just like, what in the actual fuck? Like, I'm firing you because I don't trust you with my business. I don't trust giving another dollar to you to work for my business. And you want me to refer you to other people hiring you on for their business. It's like the lack of empathy and compassion for what happened to me with you not showing up for your job, for you not completing the services that I've paid you for on time, for you not doing your part, for me leaning on you as a pillar and an anchor in my business, and you just pulling the rug out from me and not showing up for your job. The lack of empathy and compassion. And this is why it's wild, right? Full circle, because that's exactly what happened with Jimmy. Now that I'm saying it out loud, that's literally the exact same thing. And now I'm running a business, having someone not show up, not do their job. And it's really affecting my business. And I'm having to, even though I don't want to, and it sucks, I would really, really much rather you just do your job that I hired you to do, and the train just keep trucking along. That's what I would really, really much rather do. But if I can't trust you, if you're not showing up, if you're not getting things done on time, if I'm just handing you money and I don't hear from you, I have to, in order to honor myself, I have to fire you. I don't have a choice. That's what it feels. And so denial will have you lacking a deep depth of connection and empathy and compassion for the people that either your addiction or your codependency or your mistreatment is affecting. You're so in your own shit that you can't see how your shit is pouring on other people. I could not see at all how that was pouring on Jimmy. And my employee that I recently just fired, clearly she cannot see at all how much that radically affected my life and my business and my family and my emotions and what I was experiencing. It's wild what denial will do. It is a beast. It is so unconscious, the way that it operates, that it is a beast. And the only way for us all to help each other get out of the loop of denial is to stand in your truth, to stand in your power and hold the boundary if that's what needs to happen, or say the thing that needs to be said. That is the only way to shine light on the denial and move it out of the darkness and the unconscious and into the light. Jimmy did me such a great favor, even though the truth hurt. Tough love is just another form of love. That shit hurt. But it was such a gift, big picture. It was the exact medicine and reflection that I needed in order to be able to slowly but surely see myself. And I am truly grateful in my heart that he did that. It changed so much for me. And I hope that you remember the service that you can do not only for yourself, but for others and their sickness by standing in your truth and your light and not feeding the denial that beast is.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.